Welcome to Cyberpunk 2077. Today we're talking to Future Craig. Future Craig has played most of this game and knows what's up. Past Craig will be back tomorrow with more bumbling through blindly, but Future Craig has to lay some groundwork. I had some drive-by right-wingers come through and tell me that the real racism is talking about racism, so figured we should probably put our cards on the table sooner rather than later. This is the racism video. We're going to talk about racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, whatever other icks and isms and phobias we can think of. My basic idea here is that those kinds of things, sexism, it's bad. Racism, it's bad. Transphobia, bad. Homophobia, it's bad too. I know, hot take, right? Still, seems like I'm getting a lot of visitors that don't agree with that. If you are one of my visitors that doesn't agree with that, just go away. I don't like you, and I'm not very polite. But it is worth talking about because this game's terrible cultural obliviousness is the reason I'm playing it. It's what caught my eye, and I thought we should talk about that now. Why this game, though? What does it matter? There are a lot of culturally oblivious games. Why am I so hot and bothered about this one? Well, that's because this is Cyberpunk. In theory, Cyberpunk is about fighting to reclaim your body and your autonomy from people who would dictate who you're allowed to be. The heart of Cyberpunk is the small cadre of authors that have written stories about that very topic. They're usually queer authors, trans authors, anybody that doesn't fit into the standard corporate drone ideal. They tell very good stories, very moving stories about that sort of topic. You wouldn't know that if you've been just watching the corporate mainstream cyberpunk stuff, which is just generic action movies or games, but there's some cyberware, some chrome. Oh, sexy. Yeah, that's pretty bland. It's not something that interests me. It's very primitive and not very interesting. So it's kind of sad to know that this is in fact that kind of game. This game is basically bargain basement Fight Club. It is extremely staid and barren and uninteresting in its plotline, and it includes almost nobody that would not fit into a corporate job. Ooh. Let's talk about it. The first thing you might notice is that there are a lot of background characters that seem to be diverse, right? Look, we got a lot of different skin tones and cultures and stuff. But background characters don't really matter that much. If all you've got is diverse background characters, then you're saying that people are allowed to be diverse as long as they don't do anything or have any power or affect the world in any way. Yeah, you can be black, but not in public. I mean, that would be gauche. So, yeah, your background characters should obviously be diverse, but it doesn't earn you any points. It just prevents you from losing points. Your speaking characters need to be diverse. And now you're thinking, but Craig, the speaking characters are diverse from what we've seen so far. Like, you've got the T-Bug. You've got a black lady working with you. You've got Jackie. He's Hispanic. And then you've got, in the upcoming arc, you've got Dexter Deshawn. He's black. This is actually a good time for this video to come out, which is why I'm making it now. Because Dexter Deshawn's arc is the arc where the game just suddenly turns its racism on full force and becomes blatant about it. Oh, I bet you can't wait to see that, right? So spoilers, if you want to see it without me spoiling it, you can just skip this bit, but, I mean, who cares, right? Your black lady, she dies off screen and is replaced by a hot white girl. Yeah, your Hispanic buddy, he's killed off and replaced by a hot white girl. Dexter Deshawn, he's killed off and replaced by a hot white girl. Are you maybe seeing the problem here? To tell you the truth, I don't know whether Panam is a hot white girl or just so badly written that I can't tell. Maybe she's supposed to be Hispanic, maybe? It's really incompetently written, and that's the core of this problem. There are a few times that people are allowed to be from a specific culture, And it's usually written so stereotypically that it is offensive. For example, you got the Japanese groups, which are always presented in the same way that you would have presented them in the 90s with your technophobic bullshit, where they're like, oh, the Japanese are like machines. They're precise and all these. Like, come on, seriously, just let them be people. Oh, there's a black group, and they're called the Voodoo Boys. I don't believe I have to explain this. If you are from Haiti and you want to call yourself the Voodoo Boys, feel free, but the people who made this game are not from Haiti. They are a bunch of white Polish guys, and they're not allowed to call Haitians anything like that. It's really fucking racist. I don't even know why they thought that would fly. That's really terrible. And all I can think of is there must have been a group called that in the original books, and they just decided to keep it, even though it is really, really terrible for, the past 20 years. So, yeah, that's the level of cultural awareness these people are expressing. Now, we do meet a lot of people with a variety of skin tones and cultural clothes and stuff like that, but for the most part, they're not written with any cultural diversity. Even the ones that don't speak English, they still speak English, as in they clearly are written in English and then are given that line to say in Spanish or Japanese. It is really pretty bad and pretty obvious. It's like getting hit by a car every time it happens. The basic problem here is that everybody is white-coded, meaning that even if they're not visually white, they're obviously written by a white guy thinking in terms of, his own personal culture. And that would make sense. It's CD Projekt Red. I believe they are mostly white, and they're kind of oblivious on this topic. So maybe they should have hired some writers. It's not fucking rocket science. If you want to have a more inclusive game, have a more inclusive team. Maybe they did and it just didn't come through. I don't know. Either way, racism is only part of the problem of this game. We also have just oodles of every other kind of ism and ick, like transphobics and homophobics and sexism. Got all that shit. Yeah, can you tell? So one of the major issues here is that those kinds of people, anybody that doesn't fit into the corporate standard, specifically the white, straight, cis standard, is presented as either a joke or a fetish. They're not allowed to exist in the world. They're only allowed to exist as something for us to gawk at, like a circus performer. That's not okay. I don't know that anything else needs to be said. It's not okay. It's really trashy. And it's like incredibly disappointing. Cyberpunk is supposed to be a genre about punks. It's supposed to be a genre about people that don't fit in. And we have a bunch of beautiful white ladies. And some beautiful white guys. It's like, we don't fit in. They even give you a brain ghost. They give you a brain ghost that is a white Christian guy. Just in case you were worried that you wouldn't have enough standard thoughts. They gave you the standardized man to have your thoughts for you. We'll get to all of that in real time, I'm sure. You're going to see me be pretty angry once things start to flow. And, yeah, I'll just prep you for that by telling you that that's going to happen. Anyway, that's that. Feel free to watch or not as you like. It's just something I feel compelled to do. I need to talk about this kind of shit when it disappoints me this much. Have a good one.